dating myself today. You got to even it out so you can see your, like, you know, frame, girl.
Yes.
All right. Right off. Don is having a hard time. You okay, Don?
It just always takes a minute.
Good morning, Don.
How are you doing, Elaine?
Yeah.
I heard you broke your arm.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
But she did it surfing behind a shark.
Yeah.
It's believable.
Or something like that. Oh. If it weren't for my grace, I don't know what I'd do.
How's Mr. Norland doing?
Mr. Norland is as ornery as ever. So I guess he's doing great.
Well, that's his job, to be ornery.
Yep. So we've decided to put our house up for sale. We need to find a rental. So if you guys know of any rentals, let me know.
Well, I have one, but it's filled up.
We'll kick them out.
How long do you want to rent it for?
Probably 1.5 to 2 years.
Why'd you sell? Take advantage of the market?
Yeah, take advantage of the market. And we know we're going to retire in Sparks. So we want to put an offer on a house in Sparks and take advantage of the low interest rates.
Very smart. We have been toying with the idea of taking advantage of the market as well.
Yeah, it's so hot. It's bidding war time. It's just crazy.
Seriously.
Yeah. I know a really good realtor if you need one.
We've been turning our house into a party house. I see we've got a kegerator and our tiki bar, so we're on our way. It'll be a cool house to buy when we're ready.
Yeah.
I'm never leaving.
Well, we got so much family here. We'll be back all the time, and it's still a couple of years away, but I just want to get ready for it all.
Yeah. There's no Major League Baseball in Sparks.
There's no Major League Baseball anywhere, Donnie.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That is.
I think it's the new conspiracy. I think that, you know, another government took over baseball.
You know, last year I saw all 30 teams for the first time in one season.
You jinxed it, is what you're telling me. So you jinxed it, huh?
Apparently I did. They were the worst of times. They were the worst of times.
What the heck did I just do with my whole thing here?
Don, we need to get you like a little holder for your phone. Poor thing.
I've got one I'm trying to work with here.
Is that a rubber band?
Yeah, I'm just putting rubber bands around it.
I don't know where the people are now.
You're high tech there, Don.
I am.
Over here. Okay, got it. Okay.
Rubber bands is about as deep as I go in technology.
So there's a couple of spots that are open.
All right. Are we being told to mute ourselves now, Bobby?
We'll mute in about a minute and a half, okay?
All right. So we can keep harassing each other. Jason, what have you been doing with yourself?
It seems like I'm always busy doing something. It's just, you know, I've really kind of lost track of days. That's been the tough part.
Jason doesn't do anything. Everybody knows.
I'm following my example.
Which one is Jason?
Mr. West.
The one without the whiskers.
Yeah.
Yes, he's whiskerless. That's the thing here.
Yeah, I've been seeing more and more shaved faces, so I guess COVID's over and everyone's shaving, right?
I need a haircut is my problem.
You need hair is your problem.
Well, yeah, but now I'm adult.
Ouch.
I haven't had that for decades.
Zing.
He's not the
You
only
knew
one.
me when I had it, though. Hey, I had it when I needed it. I'm old and married now. It doesn't matter.
Well, good morning, everyone. How are we doing?
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
So I'd like to go ahead and have you guys go ahead and mute if you would. We got a lot of stuff going on the agenda today. Linda, I want to make sure we're recording. So if you'll just go ahead and let's get things recorded.
We're recording.
Thank you so much. My name is Bobby Spiegel. I'm President and CEO for the Corona Chamber of Commerce. It is indeed a pleasure to serve as the introduction for today's meeting. As I was saying, we've got a jam-packed agenda and we welcome you all to be on this call. There are a couple of things that I wanted to cover real quick. We have a sponsor for today, and that sponsor is the it is the Corona Riverside Navy League. I should know this because I'm the president of the organization, but it is the Corona Riverside Navy League. And if you want to have information on this, please contact our membership chair. The information is on the slide there. And later we'll be explaining about a special meeting on Friday night with our Navy captain, and all of you are allowed to plug into that. It will be a Zoom call. The Navy League supports the local Navy base as well as the Sea Cadets and America in general. So thank you so much to the Corona Riverside Navy League for being the sponsor today. It is with a deep gratitude that I get to introduce our chairman of the board. I've known Don Williamson for many, many years. We went to junior high together and high school, and just a great guy. You know, he's been in the corporate world and he sees things from a different lens, but he has seen it all. And I'm so honored that he's our chairman of the board. Please welcome Don Williamson. Donnie.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for the nice words, Bobby. Yeah, we go way back, as I do with some other people on this call too. That's a good thing about staying in the same town you grew up in. You know, and this time right now is so strange because I don't see all of you anymore. I mean, right now everybody's a theory, yet everything's still getting done. The city council is still holding their meetings. You know, all the service clubs are still servicing. And it's really a strange environment to, it's like phantom, like maybe I'm like a ghost, I don't know, but it's like I don't see anyone, but everything's still moving on. And that includes those of us at the Corona Chamber of Commerce. We continue to help our membership, we continue to reach out, and this call is one of the examples of something that we do, trying to help our membership during some very, very difficult days, not only here, but for our country. And you know, we're going to push this forward. We're Americans, and we're going to keep moving forward, and we're going to do what we have to do. And we'll choose the right direction. So having said all that, I would like at this time to introduce our man who keeps us informed with what happens in government at all the levels. And that is Jeff Gibson from the Occidental Communications Group. Please, any questions you have for Jeff during his talk, put into the chat room, and we'll get to them after Jeff has completed. So Jeff. Jeff Gibson, are you?
Donnie, I'll check with Jeff and you go ahead and we'll move on.
Okay, we'll move on. Next, it is my pleasure to introduce our county supervisor, Karen Spiegel. Karen is very familiar with Corona, and we're real lucky to have someone that has such an insight serving us at the county supervisorial level. She has helped us immensely in reopening businesses and moving forward with some of the loan information. And it is my pleasure now to introduce to you Supervisor Karen Spiegel.
Good morning. Well, I wish I could say it's a great day. It's a concerning day, but it is a good day. You know, yesterday was a day that we had to face of looking at the numbers. And a lot of that goes back to what happened 2 weeks ago. When I say look at the numbers, it's our testing, it's our confirmed positives, our deaths. But I always like to say, let's look at the recovered. We've done almost 160,000 tests in Riverside County, more than everybody else. We've confirmed 11,694 positive. Now that doesn't mean everybody's sick. They're just confirmed positive. Many are asymptomatic. But of those 11,000, we have 6,165 that are confirmed recovered. Now, many others are recovered, but we just don't have that confirmation. People get it and they don't ever follow up with us. So there probably are many, many more. Now, of that, we do have 395 deaths. And that's what we have to focus on, because any death is precious. So it's concerning. What I do want to say is that with those, we do have quite a few that are ill today, that are in our hospitals, but our hospitals are not overburdened. And I think that's the key piece that we're looking for on a daily basis, is how well are our hospitals able to take care of those who are sick. And right now we have, of our 11,694 confirmed cases, only 237 are in the hospital. 65 of them are in ICU. Now, of those, we do have a large population, which we've been very upfront about, in our jail system. 244 in our jail system, but more than 200 of those are recovered. Where it is concerning is our state prison in Checkawalla. There's 918 cases of COVID in the state prison. And I'm understanding in Chino and some of the other ones, there's also large cases. But congruent living is the challenge, and we're trying to work through that. And that's why most of our jail population has recovered. Yesterday was a day that we had the most of the positive tests and then the most deaths. And the reason I'm spending a little more time on this than normal is because Friday's a day that we're supposed to make the decision to move on to one of the last of the businesses in the phase 2 accelerated. And that is our nail shops, our massage, our, all those personal care that were held back from the last time. I'm in support. We're going to have a conversation today after we talk with the state, because that's an important element that we got to make sure. But I don't personally feel that there's going to be much of a change in the numbers, because if you know, with those businesses, they have already been taking precautions. They've already been using gloves. They've already been using masks all along, long before COVID. So we'll see. I think it's a small number, but I think it's a population that we do need to address. Now, with that being said, I do know, and I don't know if anybody paid attention to last night's Coronado School Board meeting, that our schools are gearing up year-round, which is mostly Eastvale, begins July 6th. They've got 6 schools that are, and they are kicking off virtual. The August 11th, which is they call Children in the Seats, begins August 11th. That's our new school year. And they did vote to go back physically on August 11th and not virtually. And those that started July 6th will transition into physical after they go that first month. So we are moving that direction with our students, because I know a lot of parents have been wanting their children to get the direct learning, classroom, socialization. So that's that first piece. The second piece is there are 3 grant programs still out there. Supposed to be June 19th for the ending of the business grants, where we had the $45 million set aside. There are still some available. We thought there'd be an overwhelming response, but there's still some available. Please check with me personally if you'd like to see where you're at if you're in the process. I've got a couple I'm calling on today. There are different reasons why people aren't, but there still hasn't been an overwhelming. We have the nonprofit. So if any of you are in the nonprofit, we have $5 million set aside for nonprofits. That won't open till July 1st. That's going to go July 1st to the end of July. And that's being done actually by the Inland Empire Community Foundation, getting them involved. And then the third one is rental assistance. And that was an overwhelmingly positive response. Hopefully, not many in our district, so I don't know. We've been sending out information. Hopefully that's a good sign that we are having our district folks able to yield that to those in more need. There's a lot of other things happening within the county. We're in the middle of budget hearings. We did not complete our budget hearing as of yesterday at our board meeting, choosing to get some more information and dig down a little more because there were some questions on our budget. And we have to have our full budget done by the end of this month. And then we have the follow-up in September. And understand that we are in unprecedented times, and I'm sure the city of Corona has the same challenge of the unknown. And we don't know where our funding is going to be. We don't know. The state hasn't said. There are $54 billion deficit. And quite often, as you well know, the state passes that down to their local, which is the county and the cities. And no matter what we say and do, we do direct services and they take our funds away and don't cut in other places that I would hope that the state would look at this time around. But regardless, we'll all come out together as long as we continue to work together. And I'm sorry that that's the focus of today, but I think that everybody knows this is like the turning point of where we're at. There are some things that still aren't open, but we're getting there. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask either myself or my office. We're here to help you, and we want you to be successful, please.
And Karen, can you go ahead and introduce Rob? He's on the phone to share. He's actually connecting right now, so give us just a second.
Okay. Rob Moran is with our Economic Development Department, and Rob is an incredible, I don't know if he hears me now, but he's been an incredible partner for the city of Corona and all the other business community. He knows our business community. He is certainly a servant for you. Wealth of information. He'll probably talk more about the business opportunity for those grants, but there's a lot out there, so certainly utilize his knowledge, his talents. And Rob, are you on yet?
I am. I just jumped on as my name was being mentioned, so perfect timing. Yeah, I'm here to help in any way, shape, or form, and please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I'm happy to share any updates on the grants either now or later, however, whatever makes the most sense.
Rob, there's still grants available, right? It closes on this Friday, but
Yes.
we still have some available, correct?
Absolutely. And what we'll be doing is closing the first round this Friday, and then taking care of those that are in the system. And we're going to reevaluate and kind of retool the criteria. And then we'll pop back open again on the 29th is the targeted date. So if you don't get a chance to apply this round, or for some reason you might have been ineligible because of the criteria, we're reevaluating that. We'll come back on the 29th. So don't despair. We do have plenty of funding left, and we're going to, like I said, retool and then come back. So stay tuned, and I'll have more information to share next week if that's all right with you, Bobby, as well.
Absolutely, sir. Be glad to have you on.
Rob, I have one question. I do know that I had shared that we're having some challenges with some individuals that are sole proprietors, and how we're going to be able to help them out on these grants. Have we found a way to include them?
That is one of the criteria we'll likely be addressing in round 2. So your question is very, very timely.
Okay, and then there was one question in the chat that asked about nonprofits. And I mentioned that those grants will start July 1st through the 30th or 31st of July. And we'll get more information as they become more available. They're in the process of writing the applications now.
That's correct. And that program is going to be administered through the Inland Empire Community Foundation. And my understanding is, as you said, they will be launching on July 1st with grants for nonprofits ranging from $2,500 to $10,000. So yeah, more to come on that as well. That is right around the corner.
Linda, do you have any other questions that are for the supervisor or for Rob through the county?
No, the question that was in the chat box has been answered, and there's nothing on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Donnie, back to you. Don, are you on silent? I'll take it from here then. I would just want to say thank you, Karen, our supervisor. Thank you, Rob, so much. At this time, I would like to call back up our advocacy rep, Mr. Jeff Gibson. He is able to connect right now. Jeff?
Good morning, everyone. So since we last spoke on Wednesday of last week, the legislature has passed the, well, it's not an interim budget, but it basically is an interim budget as we previously discussed. Revenue figures won't be set until July 15th because of the delay in income and the number of different tax collections, which would have happened in April. But the budget as passed currently turned down many of the interim cuts that were proposed by the governor to deal with the $54.2 billion multi-year deficit that we've already been discussing. Some of the key features of on the revenue side, because that's more money out of your pocket, are that the gas tax is going to be going up on July 1st by over 5 cents. Which when combined with the double taxation of sales tax on the total purchase price of gasoline at the pump, which includes federal and state taxes, means that over 60 cents per gallon of gasoline that you're buying goes to the state of California. The budget also suspends nearly all tax credit programs, which we've gone up and discussed for several years in Sacramento, trying to get the state into what we would consider a more just tax system of, instead of giving credits based on a high tax rate, just give a more equitable rate across the board and attract more businesses. As we've discussed, there are a number of businesses, including Tesla and SpaceX, which are probably the two that you're most familiar with because of headlines, that located here in California specifically because of tax credits and allowances. And all of those are now suspended by the legislature and the governor. The legislative analyst estimates that will save in revenue about $9 billion over the next 2 years. But that is a static number. That assumes that every job creator in California who was relying on, say, a multi-year credit, like was the case in Tesla, where they upgraded their manufacturing facility in Fremont, California, and were receiving a multi-year tax credit from the state of California. The later years of that tax credit are now canceled. Which will cost them tens of millions of dollars. So if everyone stays in California and all of those jobs stay in California, there's about $9 billion in regular tax revenue that would be coming into the state of California over the next 2 years. As employers, you know, oftentimes that is not the case when you have tens of millions of dollars worth of increases to your bottom line. And states to the east of us that have made a business model of attracting those jobs by offering tax credits. So in any case, that's where we are. The budget estimates that the federal government will provide a bailout of the state on October 1st, on or around by October 1st, in what is being considered the next round of federal legislation dealing with the ongoing emergencies. And the Senate, including Mitch McConnell, the president, have all said that they do not have an interest in bailing out states, because there really are only a handful of states that have any sort of budget deficit. If that does not occur, and the state of California has requested over $200 billion in assistance over the next 4 years, then the state is going to have to come up with that very large number. The general fund, not to bore everybody with details, but the general fund, to give you an idea, is $134 billion this year. The state government is much larger than that, but that's generally considered the size of the budget. Jeff Miller's on the line here. When he was in Sacramento just a couple years ago, the state budget was much smaller than it is now. It was still around $100 billion. So we have a significant investment in a public investment in the state budget, but to weigh 134 billion versus 210 billion that we've requested from the federal government in long-term assistance shows you that it's very likely, and just from a reasonableness idea, we are going to be tracking for you where likely cuts are going to be coming from come August. Currently, there were relatively few cuts in K-12 education. One out of every $2 we spend is in K-12 education. There were very few cuts, including almost none, to the transportation programs, which is good. There were the high-speed rail. The state of California is still focused on spending $2.3 billion on that construction project. So there are a number of different areas that have direct impact on our region that just as a person that's been involved in this for over 30 years, I have concern that there's a lot more conversation and a lot more action to be taken here. Much of it we don't really like or would prefer. So in any case, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Linda, do we have any questions in the queue?
No, we don't have any questions right now.
Okay, Jeff, thank you again. We really
Great, thank you.
appreciate your participation and being here to give us that update. Today we have a guest from our Executive Leadership Roundtable. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's something that you really need to look into and consider joining. It's one of the best things we do at the Corona Chamber of Commerce, where you get some insight in all levels of our infrastructure as far as our government, military, businesses, and each year that class has a project. And today we would like to welcome Ann St.Germain, who's going to give us an update on her current class. Ann?
Hi, thank you, Don. That's a fun introduction. Yes, so I am a current member of the ELR class, and one of the things that we do in the ELR is you go around and you visit all these different businesses in Corona, and you sort of tour around. And one of the things, in addition to, is we got to go out to the March Air Reserve Base, and when we went in there, we toured the USO area where they deploy the troops. Now, this area basically serves between 90 to 100,000 troops a year. And when we were in there and we observed it, we noticed that they absolutely did not have sufficient supplies or needs, critical things for serving the troops. So they didn't have any way to offer hot food. They didn't have a refrigeration system. So our troops who are flying in and out and are at these places, sometimes for days and days, are being fed peanut butter and jelly. So we sort of developed this plan from there, where we said our troops deserve more than a PB&J when they come back after years and years being overseas and being left from their families, and we can do better. So our project was to raise monies to do a critical kitchen expansion, to get a refrigerator so that they could offer a hot food option. And from there, it sort of expanded to additional services that we could provide. One of those is Wi-Fi, offering Wi-Fi services so that they have connectivity to their families. And also so that when they're there for days and days and days, we can offer things like playing on your Xbox and whatnot. So we decided to try to raise more monies to fund things such as that. Also a program to support for spouses and for the service members to be able to record their voice so that they could read a story to their children and their kids could hear it over and over again. So we have been raising monies to do that. We've already raised enough to provide the kitchen expansion and the refrigeration needs. But there's always more that we can do. So please, we would love for you to donate to our program at givebigcorona.com. To date, we've raised just about $35,000. And then we have another program that's going to help match a portion of that as well. So we're pretty excited, but there's enough money, or there's enough need to be able to support this on an ongoing basis for our service members. So I could go on, and I will go on and on. Please see me at Good Morning Corona on Friday as well, everyone, and you can talk to me about that and also about the Executive Leadership Program. It's a really exciting, fun thing, and I strongly encourage you to get involved.
And thank you so much. And I'll tell you what, that's just a fantastic project. So please consider looking into that and donating it. And as I said earlier, we have the ELR class annually, and the applications for the next one should be available either this week or next week. So again, as Ann said, please check into it. Linda, was there any questions or comments for Ann that you saw in the queue?
No questions right now.
Okay, Ann St.Germain, thank you so much for being on this morning with us. At this time, it is really a pleasure for me to introduce those that make Corona work. I've lived in Corona, as everybody knows, for a long time. I have known dozens of members of the City Council, and I am compelled, whenever I talk about them, to thank them for their service. You know, they're not making money doing this, and it takes so much of their personal time to devote to do city business. And I got to tell you, there's no glory in it. I mean, if I did a survey from people on this call, nobody probably could name a council member from the 60s or the 70s or maybe even from 5 years ago. I don't know. It's a really a thankless position. And those who take it on, I am personally grateful. And I think all of us should be grateful to the members of the Corona City Council who will do that for us. And they get a lot of flack. You know, I don't always agree with them, but boy, they sure deserve our respect and our gratitude. So I'm looking forward to having them speak with us today and hearing what they have to say about our beloved Corona, California. First off, I'd like to introduce our city manager who recently joined us from Gilbert, Arizona, and that would be Jacob Ellis. Jacob and I went to the same college, although we didn't know each other, and part of the reason is because he wasn't born yet when I was there. So at this time, I would like to introduce our city manager, Jacob Ellis.
Thank you, Don. I really appreciate those kind words, and appreciate just having a couple of minutes to talk to you guys this morning and share a couple of thoughts. In particular, I was going to just share a few comments on some of the transparency initiatives that we have within the city, and then just talk sort of generally about building trust within our organization and community. And I think that it's a very relevant and timely conversation, and somewhat timeless, to be honest. Just as a quick refresher, in terms of the city's mission and vision, you know, we see our role as being the caretaker and protector of the community. And in particular, we are focused on ensuring that we have a solid foundation for a sustainable future. So a lot of the activities that we undertake as an organization in partnership with our council isn't just about solving today's problems. It's about setting our community up for long-term success. And so that's definitely part of our focus. Our vision statement, we pride ourselves on being an inclusive, diverse community. We really have a strong focus on quality of life here within the community, economic development opportunities, and ensuring that we're providing transparent governance. And we've done a lot, the city's done a lot of work on this for a number of years, and we're continuing to push that forward. You just look at things like something that we unveiled the last couple of months was our open checkbook portal on our website, so that someone can go in and see really virtually real time how we spend our money and where it goes and what services it supports. Open budget, so that we can provide, when we provide updates to our council on where we're at with our budget update, that same information is available on the website, and any member of the community can go there and see the same information that we're sharing. And so we've been very transparent about that. Candidly, I don't know any other city that's achieved that level of transparency with our funds and how we spend our money. We also have an open data portal where you can go in and find an enormous trove of data that people can use for a variety of purposes to see how all of our services work. Just thinking about the last couple of months, we have produced countless videos, Facebook posts, Twitter, Instagram, We've mailed out paper flyers and brochures, and candidly, I am proud of and grateful for how responsive and accessible our council is. And I think that really speaks to the emphasis and the value that we place on transparency. And so just moving on to the talking about trust for a second here. There's a program, it's called Speed of Trust, and this is where this comes from, but I think it's extremely timely, particularly in light of current events going on across the country, is really working on building that trust. Government is not famous for its levels of trust that it pulls out of its residents, and so that's something that I think, though, here in Corona that we take very seriously. And so some of the principles and values and behaviors that we are seeking to continue to build on, not only internally as an organization with how we work with our team members, but also with the community. And I'm just going to run through them really quick. The importance of talking straight. Be honest and tell the truth. It's not that complicated, and that's something that sometimes seems complicated out there in the world, and you see leaders that struggle with that, and that's something that we strive to make sure that we are honest in how we conduct our business. Demonstrating concern, showing that we genuinely care for others. Our community should not only know it, but feel it, that we are anxiously concerned for their welfare, and that should show itself in the way that we provide service and the way we respond. We get a lot of emails every day. Our council responds to emails on a wide variety of issues. You couldn't make this stuff up. If we wrote a book, it would be, I think, a bestseller in the range of issues that come up that people are concerned about. And, you know, year after year, and many of them are on this call and have been mayors and our current mayor, they get out there and they respond to sometimes very not glamorous issues, but they're there because we care and we're trying to do the best that we can to support our residents. Creating transparency, just talked about that, being open and authentic. Righting wrongs, I think, is key. People will continue to be disappointed if they think their government will do everything perfectly every day. And I'll be the first to acknowledge that we don't get it right every time. And sometimes we're learning as we go along. We've, in the last few months here, we faced some unprecedented things that nobody planned for, and nobody had a playbook to tell us exactly how to work through them. But when we get it wrong, we apologize and we try to make it right. Showing loyalty, giving credit. All the work we do is based on a huge team effort that includes all of our chamber, it's our residents, it's our nonprofits, our service organizations, our faith-based groups. We have to give that credit where it's due because we can't do what we do without that support. Delivering results, that's about accountability and making sure that we accomplish what we set out to do, what we've committed to doing. Constantly learning and getting better, I think, is huge for us. We continue to try to be a learning organization. Confronting reality, that's certainly relevant. There's tough issues out there. We need to be able to talk about them and not avoid those. Making sure we're clear on the expectations that we set. Again, practicing accountability. Listening first, and I think this is really key today, and something that we are working on, is making sure that we're seeking first to understand and to be understood. Personal opinion, with a lot of the national dialogue going on, I think there would be value of us listening. Sometimes it's a lot of people talking, but not as many people listening, and that's something that we're striving to lead by example. Finally, making sure we keep our commitments. And extending trust. It's important that we continue, as I said earlier, to form partnerships and extending trust to those that we work with, and I think we're better for it. Just a couple of quick comments. I'm out of time there. Appreciate being able to share a few thoughts and tell you where we're at and what we're trying to do in terms of some principles and values and behaviors that we're working on as an organization and a community. Next up is our Mayor, Jim Steiner. Appreciate him being on the call today. Mayor is going to be giving a little bit of an update on where we're at with the city in terms of our work on our cannabis ordinance, and I'll turn it over to the mayor from here. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jacob. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about cannabis, but I'm not going to get in the weeds too much because this is kind of a tough one to talk about because the full council hasn't approved all the details yet. And they're all on this call, so I can't assume they're going to vote a certain way. However, I'll tell you what I do know. A cannabis ad hoc committee was formed in 2019, consisting of Jason Scott and myself. We worked with city staff to develop the ordinance, regulations, and procedures, and then presented the draft to the full city council and the public at a study session in February of this year. Due to suggestions that came out of that meeting, the item was sent back to the ad hoc committee to make some minor tweaks. Then COVID hit, and that certainly caused some delays. But now the ad hoc committee will be presenting the next draft ordinance to the full council at a study session on June 24th at 3:30 p.m. While nothing has been finalized yet, it does appear as if the council is willing to move forward with allowing commercial cannabis operations within our city limits. The operations would cover manufacturing, distribution, testing labs, and retailers. Currently, cultivation would not be allowed. These operations would be limited to manufacturing zones, M1, M2, M3, and M4. There is a draft GIS map of these potential allowable zones on the commercial cannabis portal of our city website. You can find that at www.coronaca.gov by typing commercial cannabis portal in the search function. We anticipate that businesses will need at least the following approvals before being able to build and operate a commercial cannabis business in Corona: a city regulatory permit, a state license, and a city operational agreement. How long will it take to have all this in place? Well, it's hard to say. You know, this is new to us, but first the city council will need to give the go-ahead for the draft ordinance, which hopefully will happen next week. If all goes as planned with some needed environmental review and some other work, we could formally adopt the ordinance by fall and have applications open by the end of the year or so. Now we anticipate it taking a few months for the city permit process, less for non-retail because they wouldn't have to go through the merit-based point system. But it appears to take anywhere from 12 to 18 months to get through the state permitting process. Hopefully it wouldn't take that long. So with build out, we would not anticipate seeing businesses opening in Corona until possibly late 2022. Again, though, that's a lot of that depends on how organized the business is on getting their act together and getting through the process as well. Some of the items that are currently in the draft ordinance include a merit-based point system for storefront retail with an outside independent facilitator and panel grading process. And this is basically to take council out of the loop. There'd also be a cap on the number of retailers allowed, with the highest scoring applicant moving through the process first. The ordinance includes operating fees, regulatory issues, separation requirements between cannabis retailers, as well as separation requirements between all cannabis business and schools and parks and other sensitive locations. So with that, I will turn it over to Vice Mayor Casillas for her talk on industrial and commercial development.
Thank you, Jim. The Corona market continues to perform strong despite the recent challenges in the economy. Notices of employment, layoffs, and furloughs were primarily focused in the retail and restaurant sectors. Corona's office market closed out Q2 at 6.8 vacancy, with Class A office below 2%. We continue to be the inland leader in the industrial market with a vacancy rate of 4.6%. This slight increase is largely due to the completion of the Shea Center at Rincon and Lincoln, which added 720,000 square feet of new industrial suited for headquarter relocations. The commercial retail market remains at 6% vacancy. The retail industry has been most severely impacted. With the exceptions of Pier 1 imports at the crossings, staff has not been made aware of any other corporate closures. We continue to work with tenants and property managers daily as the economy reopens. The city is actively engaged in conversation with Dos Lagos on strategies to reposition the property in the market and add additional entertainment uses. With help from our in-house IT team, economic development will be releasing dashboards with live data for each commercial projects. These dashboards will be public facing and allow our residents to have the most current demographic and traffic data plotted, allowing retailers to make informed decisions. Currently, the city has more than 2 million square feet of planned industrial development and 147,000 square feet of Class A office under construction. Our centralized location, proximity to coastal communities, and lack of inventory continue to drive capital investments to these remaining sites. We will continue to partner with industry to foster a local economy largely driven by manufacturing in the aerospace, medical technology, aftermarket auto, and food processing industries in lieu of logistics and heavy manufacturing. And now I will turn it over to Councilmember Jason Scott to share about the downtown redevelopment.
Thank you and good morning. I want to talk about the downtown area as well as the Main Street extension that includes the downtown and going to North Main. I want to touch on a few things that have come recently in the past few years, as well as an update on things going forward. So first off, to talk about medical aspects, we have going up right now a new City of Hope Cancer Center at 6th Street and Bell. If you drive by, you'll be able to see the building going up. In addition to that, there will be another medical building coming right next to that new City of Hope building, and those are right next to the Corona Medical Center. If you think back, the Corona Regional Medical Center also, just a couple of years ago, extended their emergency room facilities, making it much better for our entire community and for our residents. In addition to that, it wasn't too long ago that we also added 2 additional medical facilities across the street, across Main Street for servicing. And that was Dr. Guzman's Pediatrics Medical Building off of Main and 9th, and at Main and 8th, the Carnegie Medical Plaza. So some great things have happened recently in the downtown area and for all of us in regards to medical facilities. Now, I want to start toward the north end of Main Street and kind of focus on businesses that have come in recently and think about the jobs that they're providing. I know with COVID-19, things kind of shut down for all of us, but these are businesses there and they provide services and they provide jobs. So for Donnie and myself and some others on here, Bobby Spiegel and others, I think back to the old Corona Kmart, which then became Sears Essential. That whole plaza has been converted, redeveloped. And now over there we have Choose Fitness, Aldi's, Big Air Trampoline, Wendy's, a nutrition shop, a nail salon, and coming in is a Brass Tap Brewery. In addition, as I work my way toward the Corona Mall, we have the new Lamppost Pizza, which moved across the street, and it seems to be doing a bang-up business over there. And then we got the Metro at Main, that whole new facility there, which provides new shops, new services, and new restaurants for all of us. And there's still one building there that's just being completed and then can be leased out. So a lot has taken place on North Main. Coming to the Corona Mall. As many of you know, we have been working with Lab Holdings Company regarding both parts of the mall. And this is a challenging project as all the pieces were sold independently. It wasn't like many malls where it's sold to one entity and they own everything. It was sold in pieces. So right now, Lab Holdings owns about 51% of the north side, and that's the side with Honey's Restaurant. And recently they did purchase the Honey's Restaurant. Honey's is permitted to stay there as long as they want to, but this is what the Lab Holdings is attempting to do. They are open to buying all of the units, as many as the current owners are willing to sell. And they are working on plans to change the appearance, the vibrancy of the North Mall. That's going to take a little more time. Moving over to the south side, Lab Holdings owns all of the smaller units, so not the Attorney Building, not Pacific Premier Bank, not the 99-cent store, and not the building that the school district is in, but all of the smaller shops except one. And they were moving forward to get funding. They were just a couple of weeks from signing all the final documents. And what comes along, to the surprise of all of us? COVID-19. And because of that, their financial institution, like most of them, decided they're putting the brakes on. So they're still looking forward to moving forward on that. It's just going to take a little more time. And I spoke with the CEO and founder of Lab Holdings just last week. He said, we are still committed to this project. That's why we just bought another unit. in that South Mall area. He said he and his company are working toward construction of phase 1. They're going to use their own money to begin that, and he's hoping to get started on that in the near future and begin that until his bank gets back to lending funds. 2 points he wanted me to share with all of you. He said that his company, they are offering long-term rent-free opportunities in order to get creative tenants to join the project at the South Mall. Again, that's long-term rent-free opportunities. And he is asking that if anyone knows of a company that's interested, a business owner, or you know somebody you want to suggest, he would love for me to get him those names, those business names, so that they can make contact. So I think that's really exciting. With that, we will now go to the incredible, amazing Council Member Yolanda Carrillo to talk about homelessness.
Thank you, Jason.
You're
I
welcome.
thank the Corona Chamber for this opportunity to share some quick news on the City of Corona's Homeless Strategic Plan. Mayor Steiner and I have dedicated about 1.5 years to the homeless issue, and over the past 6.5 months, the city has conducted a comprehensive strategic planning process. It involved 4 elements. The first one, 18 community meetings, including members of our homeless neighbors. The second one, a needs assessment was done. The third one, a cost analysis was done in the city. We learned the homeless issue was already costing the city a large sum of money. Using data from the city departments like fire and library and recreational services, the cost was staggering. In 2019, the total was over 1.9 million. And fourth, and the last piece, was honing in on what kind of program models would work best for the homeless population we have here in the city of Corona. Mayor Steiner and I studied models all over Orange, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties. We both had a good idea of what kind of model we would like to see here and what would be a good fit for our city. After the last point count of the homeless in Corona, 109 were counted. 68% are single males, 30% are single females living on the streets. There may be more because the population is transient and they move in and out of city and county boundaries easily. The true prospect of counting these individuals can be hit and miss, but we do have a good idea of the numbers since we have been working on this. At our May 27th Homeless Strategic Plan Study Session, after meaningful discussion and lots of information and data review provided by Karen Roper, the City Homeless Solutions Coordinator and Supreme Expert, the City Council unanimously supported the development of a comprehensive system of services. Phase 1 of the 5-year plan will be developed during fiscal year 2021. The phase 1 system of services is budgeted at 3.4 million, but please note that of the 3.4 million, 28% is non-occurring cost. The following plan component includes renovation and operation of city-owned Harrison Street facility for use as a 24/7 emergency shelter, including a navigation center, and will have capacity for 30 beds to serve single males. We continue our motel voucher emergency shelter program, 20-room capacity for females and single families. We also have use of our city-owned complex of 12 apartment housing units on 5th Street to provide permanent supporting housing for the homeless. The city will continue its Path of Life shelter contract in the city of Riverside for 5 dedicated beds through December 2020 or until the Harrison shelter opens. The city will expand its police department HOPE team, adding outreach to evenings and weekends. The city will continue its contract with CityNet Outreach and Case Management. The city will hire a permanent homeless solutions coordinator to manage homeless programs and strategic plan implementations. This is the outline for the first year. There are 3 more years of development and tweaking, and the last year of the 5-year plan will be revisited with the development of 5 a 5-year new plan. So thank you for your attention. And now I'm passing the baton to my colleague, Councilman West. First, I want to share 2 of Mr. Speake's goals. Number 1, to cherish our past and to plan our future. And number 2 is for Mr. Speake to only speak for 4 minutes this morning. Take it away, Wes.
Well, I can I can make no guarantees about no. I will speak for 4 minutes. I promise. If not, I guess they'll cut me off. But thank you. I know my colleagues joke with me about that. But the number one issue for most folks that you talk to is traffic and basically the role of traffic in people's daily lives. In fact, most people can't tell you how many miles it is to the beach, but they can certainly tell you how long it will take you to get there, depending on the day, what time of the day, whether it's post-COVID, pre-COVID, mid-COVID. It's part of everybody's life here in Corona, both our residents and our businesses. I'm happy to say that we've made significant progress in 2020 from plannings to openings. 2020 saw the opening of the long-awaited Casillas Bridge. This is a true public-private partnership with the New Home Company, WRCOG, and the City of Corona. Very happy to see that go forward. In December of this year, the capacity of the 15 will increase by 40% with the opening of the I-15 toll lanes project. That project is on schedule and again, ready to be open in December. This past fiscal year, we saw $6.8 million worth of investment in paving projects completed, most notably Foothill Parkway. I'm happy to say that we have a similar amount and an amount of miles scheduled for this year. And when those exactly are announced, we'll get this out to folks so they can see where those improvements will happen. And I'm excited to see them. In 2020, we'll also see the start of the 91 COP project. Those folks that don't know what that means, it's the westbound auxiliary lane from Green River to the 241. This project was truly a brainchild of a local community group called the Greater Corona Traffic Alliance. And that project will be started by the end of this year and expect to take between 24 and 28 months. The 7191 connector project is in its final planning right now. Funding was set aside, but with COVID and the decrease on the gas tax side, there's some scrambling for money, but we're hoping that project will be started in the next year or so. Also, the 9115 connector project, that is a connector between the southbound 15 and the westbound 91. That project will help take additional cars off the main line of the 91 freeway and should ease traffic a little bit. That project is scheduled to start next year. It's in design right now. Also, kind of a significant agreement that came to this fiscal year was RCTC working with our regional partners at OCTA and TCA came to an agreement on the timing to build the 91 241 connectors. That project is very excited. It's not going to happen for a few more years, but funding and timing and the agreements with who's going to build it and how it's going to operate are all done. And I'm super excited with that. And then kind of looking toward the future a little bit, I want to thank Supervisor Spiegel and Supervisor Jeffries and the Riverside County Transportation Department for helping start the and set aside the money for the environmental engineering of the planned widening of Temescal Canyon Road between Tom Barnes and I-15. Now the funding is still kind of out there. We're hoping RCTC will be able to kick in some money to make that happen. But this is a road that's been a 2-lane road in that area since 1928 when it was first paved. So I'm excited to see that progress and hopefully in the next, before that section of road hits 100, we'll be able to see it widened. Kind of the last thing I want to talk about is just transition into this, I call it post-COVID because frankly, I want us to get out of that mindset, even though I think we still have to be safe and we have to do those things that these guidelines that the state is putting forward, but we also need to get our mindset and moving forward. And one of those things that we did as a council last month was to ease restrictions on parking and outside seating. And this carefully aligns with ABC's rules to help our restaurants increase capacity because they're going to be limited to either 25 to 50% as we go forward. to ensure that they can increase their capacity to bring dollars in and get people seated. I'm excited. I think we have, three restaurants and bars that have already submitted, and we're waiting for more. Additionally, we eased restrictions on temporary signs and advertising to add in the recovery and provide our businesses with additional tools to let people know that they are open and they are ready to accept customers. And then with that, I'd like, I think it's my pleasure to announce our city treasurer, Chad Willardson. Chad is going to be sharing a little bit about our finances, and when Chad is complete, Chad will turn things back over to Don Williamson. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. You guys
Morning.
hear me okay?
Yep.
I see Mr. Scott on my Zoom, so I'm not sure if my video is working properly, but for some reason you're there in the corner. Anyways, good morning. My name is Chad Willardson. I'm the city treasurer. I'm first a business owner, a local business owner. I'm very committed to the business community. I got involved my first ever election, including like ASB as a third grader. I never did any of that. So the first thing I've ever done really is run for treasurer, but I'm a big supporter of small businesses. I think it's important to note that 2 out of every 3 new jobs created is created by a small business, as defined by employers with under 500 and sometimes under 100 employees total. So as my job in the city is somewhat limited and specific in scope, I am responsible for managing the investment portfolio for the city taxpayers and for all of us. And I'm now in my 4th year. So I started in 2016, and our current portfolio value has increased to just over $330 million. That's not a slush fund. I know a lot of people on social media act like it's a big savings account slush fund, and we've got all kinds of money we can go on vacations and trips as a city and splurge, but all these funds are earmarked for specific purposes. One thing I've really been focused on is increasing the income to the city by making the portfolio more efficient and being more active and productive with the investment holdings that we have, that we own as a city. So the good news is, since I've been elected, I've been able to increase the income we earn in the portfolio by double digits every year for 4 straight years. And we've more than doubled the income to the city account since I started in 2016. Last year, and I'm very restricted and limited in what I can invest in for us, which is prudent and proper and appropriate, because we don't want to be taking excessive risks with the sacred taxpayer money. So it's not like we're investing in stocks or anything aggressive like that. We have a very limited guidelines of what I can do. However, within those guidelines, we've done a lot of good things. We've made smart timing decisions on buying and selling different bond investments. Last year, for example, 2019, our investment return was 4.65%. And for a very short conservative investment bond account, I don't know that we'll see that for a while, but it was an excellent year, and we were able to have an increase of about almost $14 million in the portfolio between interest and appreciation. So that's my main role, is really monitoring and managing the investment portfolio for all of us and for the different programs that we have. And I know the city council is looking closely at how much money can we use from the portfolio. I'm managing to pay down the big unfunded debt liabilities that hang over our city's heads. So that's extremely important. And my goal is to just continually produce as much income as possible while keeping the money safe and liquid, and then allowing us to pay down those debts at an accelerated pace so that we can get a better handle on those. One other thing I've done recently that's not really part of my position, but I just felt the kind of the duty and the obligation to do something about it, because I noticed that our investment accounts, or our retirement plan accounts for the city employees were pretty inefficiently managed. So we have two major partners running the retirement plans, and a lot of you in business will understand that. You know, you're familiar with 401k plans and IRAs and things like that. So I just saw that we had two massive accounts, two options, two providers, and too many funds, and expensive mutual funds that all the employees are invested in. And so I created a retirement investment committee within the city, and I'm helping lead that charge to we're working with a fiduciary who is sourcing bids right now, and hopefully by the end of the year we will have consolidated and simplified the investment selections and the retirement plan for all the employees of the city of Corona, which in my estimation will reduce costs by about 70 to 80%. It's a major change. I also believe that we'll have better participation. So that's my expertise on the small business side, is investment management and finance. And so that's what I'm doing here for the city. And just appreciate my opportunity to give back to a city that we definitely love and care about, with businesses in the city, and with raising my 5 kids here and CNUSD. So we are fully invested in Corona and Corona's success. And if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Chad, thank you very much. And I just want to thank Jason and Jim, Jason Ellis, Yolanda, Wes, and Jacque. Thank each of you so very much for taking your time. I'll tell you, this is really special to have the entire city council, the treasurer, and the city manager on this call. And I mean, on behalf of the business community, wow, thank you so much. Linda, do we have any questions for our participants from the city of Corona today?
Yes, we do have a couple. The first one is, are Corona business licenses still being extended? Mine expires this month, and I have not received anything yet for renewal.
Hey, this is Jacob, just responding to that. Is there a contact information that we could reach out to this individual and follow up on that with them? I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, it's
Linda,
Christina.
you can send that over to him.
Yeah, just email that to me, and I'd be happy to personally follow up.
Of course. Okay, our next question is, can we find the eco numbers online? I think that was during Vice Mayor Casillas' talk.
Yes, so I think we're talking about the dashboard, which is still being worked on, and I think Ryan can probably speak to when it will come online.
Yep, so we're pushing right now. I'm hoping next 45, 60 days we'll have all of those able to go live, so stand by. We did give a sneak peek last week, but for the next couple of weeks, we're going to wrap those up. But if you have immediate need for some data, reach out to me directly and I can get that over to you.
Okay, and the next question is there any existing list of the dashboard stated?
I'll go ahead and take that. We're going to be planning on doing them for all of our retail centers. So that's phase 1, eventually work into some of our larger business parks. But if there's a specific center they're looking at or need some data for a particular area of town, happy to get that over to them now. And about the next 45, 60 days, we'll have it outward facing for the public.
Thank you. The next question, I believe, is directed to Vice Mayor Casillas. It says, the manager at Party City told me that they have begged the landlord to move to a bigger space like the Toys R Us space and are willing to pay more for it. But if they can't move, they will most likely move out of Corona as the current space is too small. Can you help with that?
Yes, thank you. I actually reached out. I've been chatting with Mary in private message, and we will continue to help facilitate those discussions. and help the retailers as much as possible to communicate. But that is one of the versions that's out there, and we're hoping that they can work together and find a mutually agreeable resolution. But we'll help as much as possible. We are definitely on it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. It's awesome.
Thank you. And I believe this was a question regarding the Corona Mall. What is phase 1?
As the founder and CEO explained to me, that is really just the front facade of the buildings and getting those started in preparation for doing the internal portions.
Okay, and I'm not sure if this was privately answered. Can you please direct me to the online report that best provide business KPI monthly statistic reports for 2020? Are there projections available as well?
I'll go ahead and jump on that, Linda. I think that was related to some private messaging. I had responded to one of them. But yeah, we'll be connecting on that, and I can get him some of that specific data he was looking for.
Thank you. We have some extension of gratitudes and thankfulness for everyone involved that regarding keeping Corona safe during these months. And let me just check one moment. I believe that's all for the questions.
Okay, great. Linda, thank you so much. And I just want to let everyone on this call know, I know all 5 of our council members personally, and if you have questions like this, they are very accessible. They all have email addresses, which you can get on the city's website. They all have telephone numbers you can contact. And if you have questions, they are really responsive, this group of council members. So on their behalf, I will tell you, they're happy to take your calls and help out any way they can. Again, I want to thank the team from Corona. Again, our sincerest gratitude. And now Bobby and I would like to tell you about some things that we have coming up here.
Great. Thank you so much, Donnie. And again, thank you all for being on the call, and to all the speakers. Our first topic is from our sponsor today. The sponsorship is, of course, of the Navy League. But we have Captain Hembre Bay that will be speaking on a virtual meeting this Friday night. You're all invited to plug in. The information is right there. It's on a Zoom call. The next slide that I'd like to have come up is, if you are not a member yet of the Corona Chamber, that is not a problem at all. We would love to talk to you. Robert Yanez is our membership development specialist, and he is able to connect with you. Donnie?
We have our Coffee with an Entrepreneur coming up on July the 13th. This is really a really interesting program where you can have someone who's succeeded or trying to, working towards success, come in and tell you about their business and some of the strategies and backgrounds of what they've done. And this kind of information is really, to see what other people do is really valuable information. So I encourage you to try to register and come see that. Again, I'd like to echo thanks to the Corona Riverside Navy League for sponsoring us today. Sponsorships are just critical to our Chamber of Commerce. And if anyone out there is interested in being a sponsor for this call, please contact Bobby or anyone at the Chamber. We can set that up with you. Bobby?
Thank you. The next slide is regarding a more expansive discussion of what we had today. This was like a snapshot of what our State of the City, we're open for business talk will be. It'll be live and in person, and the mayor will be leading that discussion. So please register now for the Friday, July 17th meeting at Eagle Glen. The information is on your screen there. The next slide, I would like to just touch on our golf tournament. And this is an opportunity for those that have just been itching to get out there and do some things. August 5th, it is a Wednesday. It is going to be great, real early in the morning, and a fabulous lunch that we're going to wrap things up with. So please, if you're interested, connect with us through that. Donnie?
Okay, great. This Friday, we have our Good Morning Corona open for business. We're going to be back in person. And we're not going to have it at Eagle Glen this month. We're going to have it at the Starlight Cinemas at Dos Lagos. And we're going to be practicing all the required social distancing and we're going to be doing all that we need to do to be safe there. So in case you haven't linked into that yet, you can see the, you can either call the Chamber of Office at that number there, or go to that website and sign up there. Also, the Women's Leadership Conference, if you get your tickets by the 19th, you'll save $20. They'll be $40 instead of $60. The Women's Leadership Conference is something that we've, I think this is the 9th year now, incredibly successful. It's time well spent, a valuable day. People come from all over the county to attend this, and the Corona Chamber of Commerce is very proud to be able to host this. We have a great group of speakers. We've just added some physicians for a physician panel, which we've done in the past, which has been a very popular segment of that. So please, again, get your tickets by the 19th and save $20. Thank you. Bobby?
And the last slide that I want to just wrap up with, next Wednesday, we have a tremendous speaker. She is the first Brigadier General running March Airfield. You want to plug in at 10 o'clock next Wednesday. We do ask that you register in advance so that we can make sure we have all the different people and the seats filled. But again, to close things out today, I just want to say thank you to the entire city of Corona, the ones that spoke today, but the entire team of Corona that has gone above and beyond to take care of our safety and our business community in such a professional way. On behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, the Board of Directors, and all of our members and all the jobs that we represent, thank you guys so much. Have a fabulous day. We are adjourned.